The green meta is back in Dragon Ball Super Fusion World card game, more specifically the Androids meta. Don't believe me? Check out this chart of leader breakdowns in the most recent regionals with, get this, Androids actually winning the whole thing. Shout out to Sergio Alvarez for going 7-0 and winning it all. And today we're breaking down the entire Android winning deck list, starting with its leader. Being a standard 15k leader that draws for you, but once you awaken at 4 life or less, you get the permanent on your turn ability of becoming a 30k body that can swing if you have 6 or more energy. And you already know, green is all about ramping. So let's talk about the rest of these cards in this deck. And also pay attention to the side here, you have the entire deck list as we go through it. First card is our 1-drop Android 20 that's really good for pulling your Android 17 or 18, right? But get this, you can actually use this to pull your double Android cards. More specifically, your 4-drop double Androids and your 6-drop double Androids, and it's honestly really good to get these early on. Then we have our 1-drop Kami that was honestly really good pre-ban into the top Ku meta, using this card to remove any Roshis, but that's essentially what it does. You can play it on your first turn after your opponent goes first, it's better if you go second, and you could use this to remove one of their 1-drops and just KO it. It's also nice that it provides 10k combo. God, I love Kami. Then we have our standard 1-drop draw. That's honestly always great to have in every deck. Then we have the card that I find the most interesting, Cell Jr., because if you look at the deck list, we don't have any 8-drop cells. And instead, we can use this to synergize with our extra cards, more specifically our 3 destructive strengths and our single earth destroying blow. Essentially, with these cards in our deck, we can have up to 5 earth destroying blows or even 7 gigantic meteors. I think I said destructive strength earlier. I meant gigantic meteors. I always mess those two up, which is honestly probably the tech this deck is optimizing to really take advantage in late game, especially after you ramp. Then we have our 2-drop Android 18, who's honestly much better to play later in the game once you've gotten your 6 energy, so now your leader's a 30k, plus this Android 18 can draw for you, adding more card advantage throughout the game. But another card that's really good for searching for your Android 18 or double Androids essentially is this Krillin. It does provide 0 combo, but it has so much utility. You can use this to find a destructive strength for your turn 3 or find a double Androids or Android 18. You just gotta pray that you don't whiff, and honestly, if you're running an Android deck, the likelihood that you'll whiff is much less, since the whole strategy of this deck is to have a lot of special trait Android cards, especially for your 4-drop double Androids, which we'll get to in a sec. A vanilla Android 18 that provides 10k combo and a 20k body, pretty nice. And a 3-drop Android 20 that I don't think enough people talk about. This thing provides 5k combo and is a 20k body, right? Nothing too crazy there. However, the activate main ability for this card is actually pretty insane. You discard 1 card from your hand and then KO this card, and then you could choose up to 1 of your Android 17 cards and switch it to active mode. Now let me paint a pretty picture for you. You have your double Androids on the field. You just swung for 2 life or whatever, 40k, a double striker. Guess what? Destroy this card, you get the double strike again, which is why there's 2 copies in this deck. Honestly, you could use that for your 6-drop double Androids or your 4-drop double Androids or any other Android 17 that you have on the field. Speaking of Android 17s, we have our vanilla Android 17, 25k body, 3 cost, and a 10k combo. And honestly, the art's pretty sick too. They're always doing Piccolo wrong, but Android 17 is thriving, which brings us to the card that makes this deck so good. And that's our set 2 double Androids at the 4-drop Android 17, Android 18 that provides 10k combo, but also is a 20k body. Now on play, you place 2 of your cards from your energy into your drop if your leader's Android 17, and then you could play up to 3 cards with Android in their special traits from your drop to your energy. Now what this looks like is on turn 4, you move 2 of your Androids from energy into your drop. Make sure that you have at least 3 Androids in your drop after that first part of the effect. So you can only move one as long as you already have 2 androids in your drop. You can use them for playing defensively early on and sending those combos to your drop. But essentially, you're going to want to use that to convert back to energy. So then when you play this card on your turn where you have 4 energy, you still get 3 energy back. And then you can play your 3-drop Android 17, that Dr. Gero Android 20, or anything else like Cell Jr. or one of your searchers. But this card is a must-have and is really what is making androids skyrocket in the second half of this meta. Speaking of androids, we obviously need some sort of self-awakening in case our opponents want to stick us at 5 health and we can never take advantage of that 30k power up our leader gets. So here we have our 4-drop Android 17 that on play, you get to add 1 card from your life to your hand, and then you get to play up to 1 Android 18 with a cost of 3 or less from your drop. And again, since you're sending androids from your energy to your drop, from your drop to your energy, this is a very good card to bring any of those 2-drop androids back onto the field. And now we're starting to come into the big bosses of this deck with Android 17 and Android 18, the more commonly known double androids, these 6-drop double androids that are the double strikers and a 40k swing. But on top of that, you get to choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and automatically just wipe them. This is very good into red, where they have their 3-drop Son Gohans, or honestly a lot of just 3 bodies that are kind of menacing. This is really good into all of them. Now where green kind of lacks is going up against yellow now, especially with the 3-drop SR Vegeta that prevents all of their arrest cards from getting any sort of like affected by any of our abilities. And in that sense, I notice a lot of green players mess up where they try to focus on removing the Vegeta. But if both players are awakened, it might just be more optimal to just swing at face or swing at the Vegeta. Maybe not even pay attention to the Vegeta to begin with, right? Let them know that you're not worried about their rested cards that can't even add combo power and just swing to face. But I do notice that a lot of green players tend to suffer against yellow, specifically that 3-drop SR Vegeta. Except for Gohan, we'll talk about that in a whole nother video. And we got our super combos, Android 16, which is another android, which is kind of great. And finally, our big boss, Broly. You already know what this card does. It's an 8-drop 45k body that on play draws for you and knocks out any of your opponent's battle cards, and can essentially attack twice, because after you attack, it'll get switched to active mode. So you can swing for 2 times or just make sure it's not rested for the next turn. And really quickly, let's talk about the extra cards in this deck. Gigantic Meteor at 6 energy or more. This card essentially gives you 25k to any of your battle cards or your leader. However, if you're less than 6 energy, it'll give you only 15k. But this synergizes with that Cell Jr., so you can bring it back and essentially have up to 7 of these in your deck. Not really, but like you can play it up to 7 times. I think you guys get what I mean. As well as the Earth Destroying Blow. For 2 energy, you can also activate this during battle and it'll give any of your battle cards or leader 25k power. However, if you have 6 or more energy, you get to look at the top card of your deck and either add it to your hand for more combo or add it to your energy to help you ramp. Now, the only time I would do this post 6 energy is if it's a card I don't need, or if it's a card that provides 0 combo and I don't need it right then and there. And finally, the card that rounds off this entire deck is Destructive Strength, which helps you ramp at turn 3. You get to use your 2-drop Krillin to search for it, maybe even your 1-drop Goku to draw for it if you're lucky. But if you don't have any other ramping potential, which this deck really doesn't by turn 3, this is kind of your go-to for it. But yeah, that's the first place Androids deck list, and honestly, it cooks. Like, it's pretty good. Like I said, it does struggle into yellow, but that player played against yellow and still went 7-0, so it's not entirely impossible. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this deck list, if it's something you're going to try to run, if you have all the cards for it, and what other decks would you like a deck guide on and a full breakdown on. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.